Good evening, SportsZonians. How's everybody doing out there tonight? I am Mike Aguiloro. I am your host, along with Dave Hastings. For this is Sports Zone. Coming to you live like we do each and every week here via the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Radio Network. And as of last week, our replays will be played on Blackjack TV, care of Bobby Guarente, the president and head of both Blackjack TV and the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Radio Network. So I wanted to give them a shout out. Dave, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right, Mike. How about yourself?
Not too bad, not too bad. So let's get into this. I mean, we got a lot to talk about this week. You want to start with some NBA Finals, which we thought they were going to be boring.
Yeah, it's definitely
right?
It's definitely been far from that. I mean, last night's game was maybe the best game of the whole series.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you know, I had Golden State taking it in 5 at worst. So to have it go into a Game 6 back to Golden State, I mean, the storylines with everything going on with Kevin Durant, you know, who's to blame? Is it the team? You know, did he make the choice himself? But honestly, you know, you think back, last time we did this show, Toronto was up, I believe, 2-1. And then they go and win the second game in Golden State. And then, you know, that second win in Golden State was unbelievable. But really, this whole series, and I think, honestly, when it's all said and done, Golden State takes it, and it all goes back to exactly what your cousin David's mentioning in the chat room. The Raptors should never have called timeout with 3 minutes left. Kawhi Leonard got hot after struggling all game long, scored 10 points in a row, put Toronto up by 6, and really kind of took over the game, like your cousin said. And they call timeout because for whatever reason, you know, the coach said they wanted to give him a little rest before the final 3 minutes. And honestly, they had Golden State on the ropes, and they could have taken them out right then and there. And I honestly think when you look back on this series and Golden State's hosting that trophy in Game 7 in Toronto, it's all going to go back to that timeout with 3 minutes left. And I really think that coach really cost his team the series when it's going to be all said and done.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a big factor. But then you also have what Lowry did. I think if I remember correctly, it was Lowry with the violation that he had, and then you got Leonard should have split the defender. He winds up throwing the pass out. It just winds up not working out for him. So I mean, there were a couple other factors, but obviously, it really, I mean, his reasoning was kind of weak too. That you want to use it because I guess it's a final TV timeout that you only have until 3 minutes pass. Which, if you're on a run like that, you have to be cognizant of the team you're playing against and know that not only do you risk losing momentum for your own team, but you do risk it swinging back for the other team. So, I mean, that's definitely a huge thing right there. But I'll say this, going back to what you were talking about with Kevin Durant, because like the big thing has been like, who do you blame for this? Why do you have to blame anyone for this? Because I'll tell you who I don't blame. I don't blame the Golden State Warriors for Durant playing, because I think we all kind of saw this. When the Raptors go up 3-1, if you're Kevin Durant, and anyone on the planet would be thinking the same thing. Okay, all I've been hearing for the last 3 years is that I came to a Warriors team that doesn't need me and was winning championships without me. And everybody basically has written off everything I've done for this team. But if I come back with the Warriors down 3-1 and I carry this team on my back, my legacy is set. All these people who say that I'm a bandwagon jumper and I can't win without the Warriors, all those people never get to talk again if I come back and I power the Warriors for 3 wins. So, again, I don't really blame anybody. But Durant did what Durant wanted to do here. And that injury, that's a freak thing. I mean, before the game started, you got video of him dancing in the freaking locker room. So he was ready to go in that game. It's just the fact that, hey, shit happens, and it's sad that it happens to him this way. But the idea that you're going to blame the Warriors for Durant knowingly coming back with that injury in that position, we all know Kevin Durant. There's no way he didn't think that exact scenario. If I come back, I'm going to be the hero, and I get to shut all my haters up for the end of time. There's no way he wasn't thinking that. So again, I don't blame anyone, but the decision on this you can't put on anybody but Kevin Durant there. But with that, we have Erich Tressler here tonight. Erich, how you doing?
Doing good.
All right. Do you want to chime in? We're talking NBA Finals right now.
I don't know. What do you want to talk about? I mean, they won Game 5, going back to the Oracle for Game 6. I think that place is going to be rocking, but we'll see what Toronto comes out with. I don't know. I don't have much thought on KD. I don't want to talk KD because it's just sad what happened. The guy's a warrior. He tried. He came out. He fought.
Erich,
honestly,
the two things I want to hear your opinion on is, did the coach cost Toronto the game by calling timeout with 3 minutes left and the momentum on their side? And whether or not the Warriors should be held to blame for letting Durant play when he obviously should not have played.
No, listen, he's one of the top 2-3 best players in the world. You let him play if he thinks he can play. I'm sorry. He's got the final call there. The doctors say, didn't think he could do anything worse to himself. And, he got somewhat of it okay, but, probably should they have held him out? Yeah, but you're not going to hold him out of that game in that position at that time. It's just too big. So, I mean, I don't have a problem with them not holding him out. They shouldn't have held him out. I mean, they pay him a lot of money to play. And they, if he feels up to play, if he wants to go out there and try to make a go of it, you let him. That's what you pay him to do. And up until the time he left, he was rocking it. So, it's just unfortunate what happened.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that sentiment there. Matter of fact, I agree with just about everything you said there. I mean, I said right before, I don't see how you blame the Warriors for this one. But Dave, I mean, we didn't really get your thoughts on this. Do you blame them? What do you think about that?
I mean, I think it's kind of a double-edged sword where if they don't play him and they lose the series, then you blame them for not letting him play, and that's the reason they lose the series. And if you play him and he gets hurt like he did, you blame them for letting him play. But either way, when it's all said and done, I think it kind of goes back to, what Erich said is you have to look at the two key factors. Durant felt like he was ready to play. There's proof of him looking like he was ready to play. And then when he came out and played, there is blatant proof that he was out and ready to play. He gave it everything he had, and that's exactly why he got re-injured, was because he played with no conscience and no concern about the injury. He believed he was good to go. He pushed it, and it snapped. At the same time, for the Warriors side of things, it was basically a done deal if you didn't play Durant. And honestly, you take Durant out of that game, you're taking 12 points off that game, and all of a sudden they're losing by 11 instead of winning by 1. So it's one of those things that, to me, it's a double-edged sword, and there's no right answer to it. And since he got hurt, it was the wrong decision. If he didn't get hurt, played the whole game, it was a great decision. So there's really no right or wrong answer to it. There's no right or wrong way to really judge the Warriors or Durant on it. And when you look at Durant, I just feel for him. I mean, bottom line is he's the best player in the league. I'll take him over LeBron when we're talking 100% healthy right now moving forward. I'm taking him over LeBron. I'm taking him over Kawhi. So he's the best player in the league. So you can't be down 3-1 in the final series of the entire NBA season and have your best player say, hey, I'm good to go. have the doctors say, hey, he's good to go, he really shouldn't be there should be no worry about him facing further injury, then what else are you supposed to do? So it's a double-edged sword, and there's no right answer. And based with him getting injured is why people can sit there and say, oh, you shouldn't have played him. But if he didn't get hurt and they still take the dub, then everybody's like, oh, man, look at Durant coming back and leading them to get to 3-2 to go back to Golden State. Favors now, and momentum's now in their favor, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, really, that's how it is, and that's how it would be either way, no matter what happened to him. But to me, this game last night doesn't go down to Durant playing, doesn't go down to Durant getting hurt. It goes down to the fact that Toronto should never have called timeout when they had the momentum and everything was moving in their favor. And Kawhi finally got hot for the first time all game, and he was taking over. And honestly, the main thing we've all talked about over the last couple of years is these super teams and how there's not this one guy that can just take over a game. And now you're watching Leonard do it, and you call timeout and kill his momentum and cost yourself the game, in my opinion.
Mm. Yeah, that's definitely fair. All right, let's bottom line this, though. How do we see this series shaking out? Do we think the Warriors come back, or do we think the Raptors are able to close it out in Game 6, possibly even Game 7? Dave, I'll go back to you.
I think the whole entire momentum has shifted over to Golden State, but the only reason why I'll take the Raptors in 7 is strictly due to the injury issues with Golden State. If the health stays the way it is for the next 2 games, I think Toronto takes it. If Toronto ends up with a bad injury, and I think if you're watching these games and you're watching them closely, you can tell Leonard's not actually playing at 100%. So if something serious happens to him where it, cost him some time or a game, then we have a different conversation. But to me, when it's all said and done, I think the Raptors take it in 7. I think Golden State rides the momentum while they're home, and Toronto gets back home, and they're able to, pull off that Game 7 win. But even that's a risky move. They don't want to go to 7 games. I mean, Golden State's been there, done that championship mentality, whatever you want to call it. This is the first time for Toronto and everybody on that team other than Kawhi. So you don't want to go to Game 7, but I'm with your cousin saying the Raptors in 7. I just can't agree with Leonard being the number 1. I'll still take Durant.
Yeah, no, I agree with. As much as I love Kawhi, I have to go with Durant as the best player in the league right now. Even though I do think in a year or two we might be. I think Greek Freak's going to take that spot. I definitely do, but I don't think he's there yet. Eric, what do you say?
I say Warriors in 7. I've said Warriors all season. I've said Warriors all playoffs. Not backing off the Warriors now. I still think they're the better team overall when they show up ready to play. And Curry's playing his heart out. Clay's, gritty. And I'll tell you what, if they get hot, they're the best in the league. They're Splash Brothers for a reason. They've won as many championships as they have in the last few years because of them. And, I know Durant's been there for the last 2 and he's helped out, but they still know how to win. Draymond still knows how to win. And I'm not backing off the pick. So I'll stick with the Warriors in 7. And, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Eric on this one. I'm going to say Warriors in 7. To me, this Game 6 for the Raptors, they have to approach it like this is the last game they're ever going to play. If they don't win in Game 6, the series is over in my eyes. And I think the Warriors are going to come out swinging. I said after game, I think it was Game 3, and I don't remember. I don't think that game happened before we were on the air last week, but I think Game 3 was the one that. Refresh me if I'm wrong. Game 3 is the one that Klay Thompson missed, right?
Yep.
Okay. I said after that game, and I'm going to stick by it, I still think the Warriors can win without Kevin Durant. I don't think they can win without Klay Thompson. Game 4, Klay Thompson came back, wasn't entirely himself. You saw last night, he's back. He's healthy. I definitely think the two of them are going to be able to take over the game. I do think you're going to need to see someone step up from the Warriors, though, whether it's Draymond Green, whether it's DeMarcus Cousins, Andre Iguodala. One of them is going to have to do a lot more than they usually do to win it. But I still think that team has enough that they could beat the Raptors. And yeah, I'm going to say they win tomorrow night. And if they win tomorrow night, the series is over. So I'm going with the Warriors.
They unexpectedly got Looney back too. So wasn't he supposed to miss the rest of the year?
Well, I think
he showed up back in the mix, and if he's playing,
he went.
Dismiss what he's been doing too on the court for him.
He missed like the last 8 minutes of the game last night. He reacted.
Yeah.
He got re-hurt
so
again.
Don't know if he's playing on Thursday or not.
Yeah.
If he does, it could make a difference.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But like I said, even without him, I still think they'll have enough to win that series. But let's look to the future here, because as much as it sucks what happens to Durant, the fact is he's probably going to miss the vast majority of next season. So obviously this changes the whole landscape of free agency, because I think everybody expected Durant to be the top name on the free agent market this year. With him missing this season, the majority of this season, he has a player option for free agency. He has a player option for $31.5 million. Obviously, before the injury, he opted out. He was going to make all that money back. Now, where do you see this going with him in free agency? Do you see a team like the Knicks making a run for him? Because if I'm the Knicks, I don't know that I'm making a run for Durant now after this. And would it be? Well, it's a two-part question. Do you think teams are still going to be lining up around the block to sign him, given that, when he comes back, he'll be Kevin Durant, but may not be the same that he was before ever again after an injury like that? Or do you see him maybe taking the player option, riding the year out with the $31.5 million, and then once he gets his bearings under him, try for free agency next year? And Eric, we can start with you on that one.
Well, I mean, as you said, two-part question. So one, do I think teams are going to go after him? Absolutely. Regardless of the injury, he's still regarded as one of the top, like I said, 3 players in the world, hands down. No question about it. And you're going to pay that man to be on your team, because even if he doesn't come back till March, at least you're getting him back at some point, or April. And then, get a couple games out of him, see what happens, and then go into next season. Or just get him all next season off. You know what? Well, it's going to be worth it for you in the end. He's going to sell jerseys, even if he's not playing. He's better off on your team than off your team. Every team's going to make a run at him. Do I think now the other part of that is, do I think it's smart for him to take $31 million and try to enter free agency next year? I mean, he could. He wanted to give himself an easy path to maybe, another finals run next year, and then opt back into free agency. It's probably his smartest bet. It's probably the best move he can make. But I think it would be stupid for other teams not to go out and try and sign him. So I expect everybody to still make a run at him. Every team that was interested, Knicks, Nets, Lakers, any Clippers, everybody should make a run at him, because he's an all-world talent, and you'd be stupid not to.
So, being a Knicks fan, you would still be okay with the Knicks going out and signing him, given their track record? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but okay. Dave, what do you say?
Yeah, see, I'm 100% on the same exact page. I mean, to me, the smartest move for Durant, you take the 31-year player or $31 million play option. You stay with Golden State. Maybe you get back in time to help him make a playoff run for a championship. And then you go test free agency the next year. And if he decides not to take the player option, maybe it's just out of respect for the Warriors organization and just saying, hey, you know what? You guys helped me get championships, finals MVPs, build my resume. I'm not going to cost you that money, so this way you can re-sign Clay. If he goes that route, if you're a team in the NBA that wants Kevin Durant, you're not willing to go after him, I think you're out of your freaking mind. Because even coming back from this injury, he's 32 years old. Not this coming season, but next season. So even with that, why the hell not? You give him a 4-year deal and $40 million, so 4 years, $160 million. Yeah, guess what? One of those 4 years, he's basically sitting on his ass earning that money and not playing any ball. But you're a team like the Knicks and you're rebuilding, so you know what? You end up with another lottery pick. You make sure he gets a full year off, and then you go at it with your lottery pick from this year, your lottery pick from next year, and then you got a healthy Durant to teach these young kids how to win games. The Garden would be rocking. So to me, there's no other than Durant getting hurt and not being able to try to help this team win a championship this year. In the long term, in my opinion, there's literally no lose option for him. It's win-win no matter what route he goes.
Well, Dave, I think the Knicks fan in me, I think the thing that would get me the most giddy about the Knicks would be if they could find a way to trade for Anthony Davis and sign Kevin Durant, because then you would have Kevin Durant coming back maybe late in the year to have them making a playoff push and whatnot, and he could help in that direction. Or if you're not doing that great with Anthony Davis, you still have Anthony Davis on the roster this year. You sign him next year, and then you could still have a good lottery pick. So, I mean, there's a couple different ways you can go, but I think that if you start with an Anthony Davis piece and a KD come back, I think that then you can start to really build something. You know, they have some good young talent, Mitchell Robinson. Be interesting to see what more growth you can get out of Kevin Knox. And I think you could start to put a team together that way. I think they need 2 stars, or they can't just go out and find a way to sign KD, which I honestly think is really hard to do now. Now that he's hurt, I mean, it just makes fiscal sense, economic, like every sense in the world, just to stay with Golden State now. Take $31 million and then go sign a $160 million contract next year for 4 more years.
Yeah, that's what makes the most sense. There's no question.
It makes it's almost a no-brainer at this point for him. It's kind of sad because it's sad for the teams that are interested in him, because they're going to have to wait another year and keep that cap space available another year. It's going to be really hard to do. But like I said, if the Knicks can find a way to trade for AD, I think that they can make something happen. I think that it would be more enticing after KD, even if he has another year in Golden State. Now, if he looked at a rebuilding the franchise that had a young Anthony Davis, had some other younger pieces there too that are growing, and a little bit of talent, maybe it's a little more intriguing. Maybe the Knicks next year with an AD can be more of like what the Nets were this season in that rebuilding mode. From everything I hear, the Knicks front office kind of turned things around, shy of Dolan, yelling at fans and things like that. Everything else seems to be good. So, I don't know. I'm still an optimistic Knicks fan. It's a long stretch.
But Eric,
I don't know. I think KD should stay in with the Warriors, though.
Eric, you're saying instead of taking the lottery pick this year, use that in the trade for Anthony Davis, right?
Yeah, trade it.
Okay,
trade it to New Orleans, package that up. Even if you have to send a Knox, I would prefer to keep Mitchell Robinson, but I would try to package up maybe the 3rd pick in Knox and trade for Davis if you could.
Gotcha.
I don't know. I doubt that's enough. So they may have to get a 3rd team involved to really get it done. But they'd like to have the parameters in place before the draft.
See, here's my thing. If I could respond real quick to both those things. I want to start with the Anthony Davis thing first. I don't know if building your team around a center is as great as Anthony Davis is. You look at the way the NBA has been in recent years, you look at the way the Warriors are, you look at the way that a lot of these teams that have come out to compete with the Warriors have been built. You don't see teams built around centers anymore. So I don't know if building...
He's not a traditional center, though. He's more of like a KD. He shoots from the outside. He can handle a little bit. He's not... He's a big man with a lot more range and a lot more.
He's not. He's
giving him credit for it.
I don't, but he's not exactly known for the outside game, though. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, when it was him and DeMarcus Cousins on the same team, Cousins was more the outside threat than Davis was, right?
No, I mean, I think
It
that's
was
something he's been
decent
working on. I think.
balance.
What'd you say, Dave?
It was a decent balance between the two.
Okay. Well, well, that's still my first point. I just don't know. I mean, listen, again, taking nothing away from Anthony Davis he's great and everything. I get that. I don't know if building around a front court is an effective way to building a championship team in the modern NBA. That's my only thing. I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm just saying I don't know if that's the best way to build your team nowadays. And then with Durant, here's the thing. Everything you guys have said about long term, totally get that. And it makes a lot of sense from a long term perspective. But if you look at it from a Knicks fan perspective, Eric, I know you're kind of more ingrained with that than I am. This is a Knicks fan base that just sat through a 17-win season with the promise that it was going to lead to not only Zion Williamson, but then you throw all the cap space in, and we're getting these big names, and we're coming out. This is a fan base that wants to win. This is a fan base that has seen one significant NBA playoff run in the last 20 years since Ewing was here. And now you want them to wait another year. If you go out, you sign Durant, who's going to be out, and then you say, all right, so we got Durant. We can't do anything this year. We're going to save the rest of the cap space for next year, and then next year we're going to get that star #1 draft pick. I just don't know if obviously the Garden's going to sell out regardless. But I just don't know if that's what's best for a fan base that has waited to see winning Knick basketball for almost 20 years now. I have questions with those things. That's all I would say. Response? Eric, Dave, either one?
I mean, look, I see your point, but when it's all said and done, you're a fan, no matter how long you're waiting.
Okay. Eric?
I'm going to go Dave 7
minutes. Okay, fair enough. Any final thoughts on this before we move on? And Eric, we can go back to you.
No, anybody see any hockey?
What
Game 7.
Yeah, going to a Game 7. And is it in Boston or is it in St. Louis?
That's a good question. I'll be honest.
It
might be.
No,
is it in Boston?
You guys will love this. Are you ready?
Go ahead.
This is the first time that a Boston team. So we've been talking for weeks about how many championships Boston has won in the last 30 years since the 80s, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've been talking for weeks about that. Now, I doubt this makes any of us feel better, but this will actually be the first time that a Boston team has hosted a Game 7 championship game since the Celtics hosted, I believe, the Lakers in 83 or 84. So with all these championships that they've won, now obviously we get it, the NFL is a little different. You don't have any Game 7s. It's win or go home. But out of all the championships, MLB, NHL, and the NBA, this will be the first Game 7 hosted in Boston since the early 80s.
Wow. Well, I think the only thing to say to that is this is the first Game 7 I can remember a Boston team playing, and you guys can check me on this. First Game 7 a Boston team is playing in a championship game since the Red Sox did it in '86 against the Mets, and that was a I think I'm right on that. Because the Red Sox, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, and it's also the first Game 7 hosted by the Bruins since, I think, 1938.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. That's historic there. All right. So I guess everybody wants Boston to win this, right? Everybody's going for Boston.
No, none of us are going for Boston.
No kidding. That's where the sarcasm comes in.
Oh,
Thank you,
I'm
Dave.
sorry. I didn't pick up on the sarcasm. Like, my bad.
Nice. All right. So we got about 8 minutes left here. What would you guys like to talk about next? Dave, we can go to you. Well, I tell you one. I tell you one thing. I'm gonna apologize, Dave. One thing I want to bring up real quick. So you guys had commented on this on Friday, and I didn't really get a chance to comment about it. But the whole thing where Kyle Lowry dove into the stands and the minority owner of the Warriors pushed him. I know I kind of wanted to hear Erich's thoughts on this because I guess Erich was a little upset about some of the perceptions of that. And I just want to say, if that was a regular fan, that guy would have been banned from every freaking NBA stadium for life. And that guy only gets banned for a year. I'm not saying he should be banned for life. I'm just saying if you're an owner of a team, you're the last person who should be putting your hands on any NBA player, in my opinion.
Well, yes, owners are supposed to be held to a higher standard than players are.
Yes, yes. Erich, what do you say? Is Erich there? Oh, we've lost Erich. All right. Well, let's keep going then, Dave. I don't know if you had any other thoughts about that, but I cut you off, and I apologize for it, so go ahead.
No, it's okay. I mean, look, I'll say, like I said in the text message group, me, you, and Erich have, bottom line is the guy shouldn't did it. You got to be held to a higher standard as an owner. And, you know, if Kyle Lowry shoved him, then Kyle Lowry would have been suspended for the rest of the series. It would have cost him millions of dollars. Instead, this owner's, it's only costing him $500,000. And, oh, guess what? People are like, oh, well, they should make him sell his shares. You know what he would make right now if he sold what he owns in the Warriors? He would make $120 million in profit if he sold the Warriors from when he bought them.
Yeah.
So that's not even like a freaking penalty. That's basically saying, hey, you shoved the player, you just made $119.5 million because, well, we fined you $500,000, but you're selling your shares, so you're getting 120. So yeah, here's $119.5 million.
Yeah, and Erich's back now. Erich, I don't know if you had heard what we were talking about before we lost you there, but we were talking about the owner pushing Kyle Lowry in I think it was Game 3 or Game 4 last week, and I said that I didn't really have a problem with him getting punished because if that was a regular fan, he'd be banned for life. So I just wanted to hear your response to that.
No, I think he's a bitch. I mean, come on. He didn't push him like that hard. He didn't get up in his face. He didn't swing at him.
You're an owner and you put your hands on
listen, you jumped into the stands. If you jump on me, I have every right to put my hands on you. Get off of me. Get off of the people around me. And I'm sorry. Yes, I think he has. I think he had a right to push him. I'm sorry.
You're in a front row of an NBA game.
He stayed seated. He didn't get up. He didn't get in his face. He just pushed him and said, "Get out of here." Maybe he used a few choice words other than "get out of here." But again, I don't have a problem with those words either.
You're in the front row of an NBA game. You don't take those seats without realizing there's a chance that an NBA player may come flying at you. It's not exactly like Lowry did that on purpose.
You better believe if you come flying at me, I'm going to help you get off of me.
Well, don't sit on the court then.
Yeah, but there's a difference between helping somebody up.
He didn't have to leap into the stands. He made that choice.
Yeah, Dave, go ahead.
There's a big difference between helping somebody up and pushing somebody, and we've all watched it firsthand on television. He should not have
I would have pushed him too. I'm going to go on record. I don't care how it looks, how it sounds. I'll go on record. I would have done the same thing that guy did. I'm sorry. I would have.
Yeah, the difference is you would have actually been banned from the stadium. You never would have been allowed back into that stadium, ever.
Yes. Yes. Eric, you're also a unique guy, too, so I do take this with a grain of salt.
No, listen, take it however you want to take it. I'm just telling you that if you leap on me, you leap in my general direction, you leap on my father, my sister, my mother, somebody else, I'm gonna help remove you off of them. I'm gonna whether that be in a pushing method or something else, you're going to remove yourself off of me. And I may not be too happy when I do it. So I may also say some of those words that he didn't like to hear. I don't have a problem with what happened. I think this is a snowflake society we live in where everybody creates a bigger problem out of nothing than it needs to be. Like I said, I would have had a problem with it if he would have got up and shoved him. I had zero problem with the guy staying in his seat and one arm pushing him away. I don't see a big deal in that.
Well, I mean, last thing I'll say about this, and then we got to go because we only got a couple minutes left here.
He's a billionaire, so they fined him $500,000. I don't think that was a big fine. The year ban, you want to give him the year ban, so be it.
We live in
some punishment, whatever. Do I think he deserves a year ban? Maybe not a year. Maybe you want to get out for the rest of the finals.
All right.
You know.
But here's the thing.
It's also clearly stated on the tickets for front course seats to not put your hands on the players.
And we've seen an increase in the number of fans who think it's okay to put their hands on the players in the front row over the last couple of years. The NBA had to make a statement with this, and I'm sorry if you're an owner, you're the last person who should be told, don't put your hands on the players. Simple. But anyway, got a little less than 2 minutes left. I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. Give you guys your last words. Erich Tressler.
Game 7. Watch Game 7.
Wednesday night,
U.S.
right?
Open is this weekend.
Wednesday night. What'd you say?
And I think U.S. Open this weekend as well.
Yeah, U.S. Open this weekend, yeah. So there you go. Dave
Don't
Hastings.
forget, stay sweaty.
Stay sweaty, yes. Everybody stay sweaty, yes. Dave Hastings.
Yo, shout out to the U.S. women's national team. Won their first group game 13-0. I mean, it's
I heard
nice
it was
to
uncomfortable to watch.
It was. It was an ass whooping. I didn't even see it. I just saw the score. I was like, you got to be freaking kidding me. But, I mean, it's nice to at least see the U.S. be good in soccer in some way, some form. And honestly, I'll never forget when that U.S. women's team won the World Cup on a penalty kick, in the early and mid-'90s. Like, that's a memory ingrained in my head. So I'm always going to root for the U.S. women's national team. So shout out to them for winning 13-0.
Nice. And I am Mike Aglioloro. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and we will see y'all next week. And stay away from Dark Phoenix. Go watch the animated series instead. That movie sucks.
Stay